Let me tell you a story about one of the most inspiring car people I've ever met. So for what I've done over the years, I have traveled a lot of places. At one point, I heard this rumor about this one dude who was really trying to make a difference in not just the car world, but the world in general. This is the story about somebody who faced something that most of us can't even imagine and also went headstrong into it. And we should be inspired by this because of their efforts and because of their attitude. And this is the story about my buddy Andrew. Andrew was one of those people that you couldn't tell what he was truly going through unless he told you. And it was one of those things that he was such a positive person that you would never know. But Andrew in 2015 was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and not just any kidney cancer, a very rare form of kidney cancer, and it was stage 4. Doctors were basically like, sorry dude, you got a few months to live and make the best of it. And Andrew didn't take that answer. So he got his dream car, which was an R35 GTR, and he built this car as a symbol. The symbol was for this charity he founded called Driven to Cure, the logo I'm rocking on my hoodie right now. Built this Liberty Walk GTR. He did it exactly what his dream build was going to be, and he was so head on with this idea that even his license plate said F cancer. Nothing could stop the positive attitude of this kid. Like, it was unfreaking real. So I saw this spreading out online, and one of my buddies, Eli, and also another friend named Cody from Dr. M3, he told me that Andrew was going to an event in Pittsburgh called the Hangar Party. I said, I'm gonna be there. I want to hang out with everybody, and I also want to meet Andrew, and I want to hear his story. We're just hanging out a little bit, talking about everything he had started, the path he's taken, and also just fighting this illness that's just relentless. He volunteered for a whole bunch of different treatments, basically for research. He did all these incredible things at such a young age too. That's what's so mind-blowing. He literally looked at me and said, hey, you want to make a video with the R35? Yeah, do your thing. There you go. Okay. Now
it'll handle a lot better.
Dude, the sound.
Oh yeah. Since Fast and Furious, you know, a huge Paul Walker fan.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's for Paul.
For Paul.
For
yeah.
Paul.
He taught me everything about it. He taught me how to do the anti-lag, the rolling anti-lag using the cruise control buttons. It was such a cool experience as we blasted through the tunnel in Pittsburgh. My buddy Eli getting a rolling shot of us shooting off into the distance. When I play back the footage, you just see how happy he is and how much he loved that car. How much he loves being in that passenger seat or the driver's seat. It didn't matter. As long as he was in that R35, he was just filled with joy. It was all he wanted. Later that night, we ended up going to this thing called the Hangar Party. He comes out dressed like to impress. Comes out in basically a tux with an orange bow tie that matches his GTR.
The airfield, and then you see the hangar, and there are a bunch of cars outside, and the huge doors are open.
No, well, the thing is the Hangar Party is something I've been coming to for 3 years now, and it's all, he was out there to represent Driven to Cure. He was out there to represent what he stood for. In my suit that barely fits, you know, I just had to get something at the last second. And I asked him, you know, what do you think about all this? And he was nothing but appreciative. He was grateful to be there, regardless of the paths he was taking. We had an amazing dinner that night, and everything just felt great. This dark cloud that was over Andrew, this cancer, for just a little bit, felt like it wasn't there. For just a little bit, It felt like Andrew was enjoying life and just not worrying about the cancer at that moment. And that was beautiful. It was incredible. And I actually saw him next time at SEMA. He had never been to SEMA, and he just, you know, he got treated so well. He hung out with the Liberty Walk guys who made his body kit. 16, I almost forgot the year. And hi, Andrew.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
How was your first SEMA?
Pretty freaking awesome.
I would have bleeped it for you. It would be okay. I featured on Car Throttle with an incredible video, which I'll link down in the description below because it was so well made. Huge shout out to Car Throttle for really telling Andrew's story. And Andrew had this attitude of, I gotta make this last. I gotta make this last while I can have it. And I didn't see Andrew for a long time after that. It wasn't until much later I decided to go on this crazy search for one of my relatives' cars. Now, I don't have a lot of car people in my family as hardcore as I am. And I discovered that my family had this Buick Riviera that my grandfather had. But then it got handed down to somebody else in my family, then they passed away, and so on and so forth. So I started hunting this car down all over the country. And guess where it ends up? It ends up in Maryland at East Coast Hot Rod Garage outside of Baltimore on the peninsula. And I'm like, no way. While I'm in Maryland hunting this car down, I can go hang out with Andrew and see how he's doing. Go up there and I hit him up and I go, hey Andrew, man, let's hang out, let's get dinner, let's do whatever. This man pulls up in what I think was his prized possession other than his GTR. He had this unbelievably clean BMW E36 with that dark green, that kind of almost British racing green. Unbelievably gorgeous car. Drove around town, he had his hand out the window, full gangster mode out of the window, you know? Just loving it. I'm over here in a Hyundai rental car trying to keep up with this man. There's nothing I can do. I'd be like, hey, the end of those train tracks is exactly a quarter mile. And we joke about racing each other. You know, we got a slice of pizza, talked about life, talked about how he was doing, talked about his treatment. And I told him my story about him finding my grandfather's car, and he was like, oh wow, that's so cool. And you know, he actually meant it. He actually understood why I was on this hunt to find this car. Fortunately, I found the car, but I couldn't afford it because it actually was a full resto mod by the time I found it. We drove around town and he showed me where they built his R35 GTR, his friends who tuned his cars. And you know, he had a Focus RS at one point and an Evo at one point, and you could just tell he was just about cars. It didn't really matter what brand it was. If he liked a car, he liked a car. I mean, talk about a diverse lineup, right? Evo, Focus RS, GTR, and an E36 BMW. Then H2O happened in Ocean City, Maryland, and I called him to check up on him, see how he's doing. And I was saying, hey man, how was H2O? How was all this? He told me all these really funny stories of, you know, people getting pulled over, people getting caught, doing a bunch of hoon stuff, you know. Laughed and we smiled, and he seemed like he was doing better. It was such a positive feeling to know he wasn't just sitting in sorrow, even though he was so sick. Andrew's significance doesn't just stop with his attitude. Driven to Cure actually raised over $450,000, almost $500,000, just by going to car shows with his R35 and telling his story. That's what he did. He traveled all over the place to tell his story, including that hangar party that I told you about earlier. It didn't matter if it was a small car meet or a big one, Andrew was there to represent. And Andrew was there to help people. He wanted to help others that were in his situation, who had this rare kidney disease that almost nobody had ever heard of. Do you know how much guts that takes to put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm gonna help people, even though I have the disease I'm trying to help people with? There's so many people in the world that say they're charitable, but that man, he was the bee's knees, man. He actually did it. And the last time I called him, I asked how things were going, and I said, how your treatment's going? Are they trying any new forms of treatment? And he said, yeah, I've tried, you know, just about everything. And that's the last time I talked to him. And unfortunately, yesterday he passed away. Oh, sorry, I had to get myself together a little bit. I don't think it's fair to me to say that I knew Andrew as well as his family and close friends in Maryland. That's not fair. But I just wanted I just wanted to say, from me to his family, I can't get through this. Sorry, I've had to get myself together a little bit. Even though I wasn't as close, it made a huge impact on me with the limited time that I knew him. And that's so freaking awesome. Just so hard, I'm sorry. And Andrew deserved more attention. He deserved more. He didn't deserve the cancer. Same time, the cancer is what gave him power. That's what's so incredible about this story. The cancer put him on a whole different level that none of us will experience. He changed so many people's lives in 4 years, and he gave people hope. And it told me, even when I have hard times in life, regardless if it's big or small, what right do I have, you know? What right do I have to complain about my little life? Andrew went through one of the hardest things a human being could ever go through. At the end of the day, you can always replace a car. As much as it sucks, you can't replace somebody like Andrew. But at the end of the day, you can't replace somebody like Andrew. You just can't. Can't replace you. You can't replace your family. None of that. I just wanted to tell you this story. You know, like I'm not here to be on a high horse. I'm just trying to tell you an amazing story about an amazing person. And we lost him. And we lost him and he didn't. And we lost him and he didn't deserve to go. He did not deserve it. I just wanted to say to each and every one of you, especially Andrew's family, that he did an amazing job. And he lived such a cool life. And I also wanted to tell my viewers who are watching this video that no matter big or small in the car community, you make an impact. Just know that you make an impact. I know that's hard to fathom when somebody like Andrew did such amazing things. But just think about that. Think about trying to be like him a little bit more in life. Be more charitable, be more caring, and be more positive. And that's how I'm saying goodbye to such a cool dude. The only way I could do it was this way. I woke up this morning and when I heard the news, and I tried to talk about it, and I know that the best way, I knew that the best way to talk about it was to talk about it with all of you. And with all of you being the car community, with all of you being who have supported me over the years, and all of you who have supported people like Andrew. I'm not gonna tell you to hit the subscribe button. I'm not here to promote myself. Just go help Driven to Cure, and just go help the charities of the car community. And that's all I ask. I thank you for watching this, and I thank you for hearing Andrew's story. I'm just glad that Andrew did what he did, and I'm glad that he was so successful at it. And we should all try and be successful at it too. Thank you guys for hearing me say the words I needed to say, and I will see you guys next time. You have a wonderful day.